Good evening and welcome. You're with the News First, your number one news provider. I'm Shamir Rasooli.
And I'm Krishi Panditaratna. Maria Otero, the U.S. Undersecretary for Civilian Security, Democracy and Human Rights, says that there are shortcomings in the LLRC report relating to accountability. More on this story, along with the views expressed by the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for Central and South Asian Affairs, Robert Blake, coming up later in the bulletin. But before that, let's take a look at the headlines tonight.
The private bus strike, which was in effect from midnight yesterday, called off. Thousands of commuters were severely inconvenienced owing to the strike. Fishermen took to the streets in a protest. A MiG fighter jet on the Air Force crashes in Maravilla. Supreme Court grants leave to proceed in a fundamental rights petition challenging the GC advanced level examination results.
The government has decided to increase bus fares by 20% for a period of 1 year. Minister of Private Transport Services C.B. Ratnayaka, speaking at a media briefing, elaborated on this.
අද අවසාන වශයෙන් අපි තීන්දුවකට ආවා මේ බස් ගාස්තු වැඩි වීම සඳහා.
We arrived at a final decision. There are 12 preconditions for revision, and therefore we had discussions and we decided to increase the minimum fare to 9 rupees. We also decided not to amend fares for the next 1 year if there is no increase in fuel prices. The chairman of the organizations agreed to this.
තීන්දුව කරගත්තා. ඒ තීන්දුවත් එක්ක එකඟතාවයකට අපේ සභාපතිතුමන්ලා සංගම්වල සභාපතිතුමන්ලා ඒ සඳහා දායක වුණා.
Meanwhile, the Lanka Private Bus Owners Association says that they have decided to recommence private bus services. The chairman of the association, Kamanu Vijayaratne, said that this decision was taken following discussions with the National Transport Commission today.
The Minister of Finance states that relief will be granted from today to owners of fishing vessels, school transport service providers and three-wheelers whose transportation costs increased owing to the fuel price increase. Issuing a release, the Ministry of Finance points out that the government would have to incur a cost of 1.9 billion rupees monthly for this purpose.
The release states that measures have been made to credit 10 rupees to the accounts of three-wheeler owners for 3 litres of petrol per day for passenger transport. The Ministry of Finance states that based on the recommendations of the Ministry of Fisheries, the amount of fuel used by boat owners per day will be taken into consideration and the price difference will be deposited to their accounts from this week onwards. The release also states that the distance and the amount of fuel that is needed by vehicles registered with the National Transport Commission and the National Child Protection Authority for the transportation of school children will be taken into consideration and the necessary relief will be provided. The Ministry of Finance notes that a special kerosene subsidy stamp will also be provided through some of the officers for families who do not have access to electricity.
Commuters were severely inconvenienced today as a result of the Lanka Private Bus Owners Association suspending bus operations from midnight yesterday. Meanwhile, 46 individuals have been taken into custody for attacking and obstructing buses that were in operation today.
The Lanka Private Bus Owners Association suspended bus operations at midnight yesterday in protest of the latest fuel price hike. The strike had a severe impact on school children and office workers. Nearly 20,000 buses belonging to the Lanka Private Bus Owners Association did not operate today, while commuters in Colombo and outstation areas faced serious difficulties. Long-distance transportation services commencing from Colombo were also crippled today. although the All-Ceylon private bus service considerable number of buses belonging to the Confederation could not be seen in operation today. Incidentally, several attacks on private buses carried out by There are thousands of people on the road, but not one bus can be seen on the 138 route. We need to go because school starts at 7:30, but we are still here because there is no way to go to school. I am waiting to go to Malabe to get medicine. I came with my wife and have no way of going. A system has not been prepared for us, so we are asking the government to give us some relief. We are asking that they at least increase bus fares because we cannot afford to operate. We will continue this strike until we receive a diesel subsidy. We are saddened by the inconvenience caused to the public. The bus, which usually makes 3,000 to 3,500, now only makes 1,000. We have to withdraw from operating bus services because there is no point running 200 to 250 kilometers from morning till night for 1,000 rupees. The Sri Lanka Transport Board and the Department of Railways engaged in a tireless effort to ease the transportation problem. The State Transport Service also did additional bus turns. Although the All-Ceylon Private Bus Owners Confederation stated that it would continue to operate its buses today, a considerable number of buses belonging to the Confederation could not be seen in operation today. Incidentally, several attacks on private buses that carried out operations despite the strike action were reported from various parts of the island. While 5 buses that were operating in the Galle and Matra areas were attacked today, 10 suspects were taken into custody in connection with the incidents. We received amateur footage of the tense situation which arose at the Matra bus stand owing to buses not operating as usual. A bus belonging to the Dambulla depot and which plies from the Bakamuna area to Dambulla was attacked in the Ridial area by 2 persons who arrived on a motorbike this morning. Our correspondent stated that the driver of the bus, who sustained injuries in the attack, is receiving treatment at the Bakamuna hospital. Several buses in the Nigambo area were also attacked. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Southern Province Private Bus Federation, who was taken into custody by the Ambalangada police last evening, was released this morning. After I informed all bus drivers of the strike and arrived home at night, the police OIC and HQI and other officers came and arrested me. They questioned me till about 11 a.m. today and recorded statements and then released me. I clearly stated that this action was to protect the bus industry and not to topple the government or influence the President or the Minister of Transport. General Secretary of the All-Ceylon Private Bus Owners Confederation, Anjana Priyanjit, emphasized that 7,000 buses belonging to the Confederation will operate island-wide without any disruptions. We clearly state that although a certain association is attempting to carry out a strike action, they cannot do so by law. Therefore, we clearly state that the All-Ceylon Private Bus Owners Confederation and the Inter-Province Private Bus Association have taken measures to operate buses island-wide. Although the General Secretary of the Confederation gave this assurance yesterday, buses belonging to the Confederation could be seen parked in this manner today.